Hey everyone, Brian here from Vintage Classic Specialist. Happy Tuesday, everyone. It is time for another episode of Day in the Life of Vintage Classic Specialist. So let's see what happened around here today, guys. Mr. Rafa worked on the beautiful 68 Ghia here and got a handful of things done. One of which, the major thing, is he rebuilt and assembled the steering column here, which doesn't sound like a lot of work, but on these later cars it kind of is. There's this sort of like overly complicated bearing assembly in there that actually makes the contact for the horn, and so there's a wire connected to a bearing, which to me seems kind of weird. Yeah, so that all went together today and went ahead and assembled it into the car and took a turn signal switch. So unfortunately, the new the aftermarket turn signal switches, they're okay. We get them for this car. Luckily, they're available from Wolfsburg West, so they're pretty decent quality. They come with a bunch of extra wires made because they're kind of universal. They fit also some Type 3 cars. I think the versions of them may be sold in Europe that had some side markers on them, and there's just a bunch of extra wires. So typically we go and kind of strip them down and remove all those extra wires that we're not using, and before we use them on a Beetle, or in this case a Ghia. So a little bit of work going into just prepping the turn signal switch itself. And then, like I said, the column, there's this big cast piece here and so on. So doesn't sound like it would be a lot of work, but it kind of is. And then on this side, the actual steering shaft itself here, and connecting that all to the steering box and everything. So yeah, quite a bit of work going into just putting the steering column and steering shaft in one of these. So he did that, and he installed these little plates here that so Ghia's kind of like an early Beetle. They have these little wedges that mount on the doors, and then on Ghia's there's this little trim plate here that the wedge kind of goes into to help align the doors. The doors on Ghia's are pretty long and kind of heavy, I guess, compared to a Beetle door. So Ghia's kind of kept these. Beetles did away with those wedges pretty early on. But anyway, yeah, so those went on, and the steering column went on, and lots of work on the turn signal switch. So that is mainly what happened here today on the Ghia. So Rafa was on this one all day. There are probably some other little minor things he did, but those are sort of the big ones here, is getting the steering column and shaft and turn signal and all that stuff. Well, and the ignition switch too. So the ignition switch is also part of this. So we do need to get a new key portion for this one, because the one that was in there seemed to be kind of frozen and we couldn't get it to work. So it'll be getting a new key cylinder for the ignition as well. Hopefully that'll be here tomorrow. So yeah, that was Mr. Rafa's day. So my day, I actually started on the Barndoor, and you guys all know that car, the blue 54 Barndoor. I'm not going to go outside at the moment and show it, but the owner is coming out later this week to, he hasn't driven the car actually since we did our restoration and work on it. So he's going to come out later this week. Again, the owner for that car, the 54 Barndoor, he's from Hawaii. So he's flying out, him and his son, and we're going to take the car and drive it, make sure he's comfortable with it and so on, before we put it on a plane and ship it back to Hawaii. And I just did a couple things. I wanted to check the synchronization of the carburetors, so I did that. They were really, really close, getting a little bit nitpicky, as I usually am as far as like syncing carburetors. So they're dead on now. I also leaned out the mixture a little bit on them because it runs a little bit rich, which granted is generally speaking better than too lean. But yeah, so I went and leaned them out a little bit and bumped the timing a couple degrees, a few things like that. So probably tomorrow I'll take it for a drive and make sure that it's driving as good or better than ever, hopefully with those little minor tweaks to the engine. And yeah, then like I said, he's coming out, I think Thursday at some point he'll be here and probably spend a couple days. So that was how I started my day. After that, After that, I got back on this one. So yesterday I installed the carburetor kit on this car. So the new IMPI EPC or whatever they call them again. So normally they're Weber ICTs. I think IMPI calls them ICP. I don't know, whatever the hell they call them. That's what they are. They're basically ICT clones. So I had those on yesterday. Today pretty much just connected the fuel line to both of them and finished connecting the ignition wires and stuff like that. And yeah, primed it and fired it up. Had to play around with the ignition a little bit because so this has a pointless ignition system in it. I don't remember, it's a CompuFire or one of those. You can't really set the static timing in the way that you do on a set of points. So you're kind of guessing where the timing should be when you go to start it. And then of course you put a timing light on there and you can time it, accurately. But I had it way too retarded at first and it wouldn't start. And so I kind of kept advancing it. And then finally kind of got it to start, got a timing light on it. It was still, even at that point, a little bit retarded. So started cranking the timing up, set it at about 32 degrees total advance, which should be about right for this motor. So guys, these carburetors made such a big difference on this car. The old carburetors, I had totally gone through them and it did run a lot better. However, the one on the right was very problematic, very wore shaft, and it had in hindsight, it had a massive vacuum leak through the throttle shaft on the right side. So yeah, there was no way to get the low speed sort of circuits of these, or at least of the one, to run good with those carburetors, because that one was it was too far gone, and it was leaking a lot of vacuum through there, and it was making it like pop back through the exhaust like a lean, I don't know, I guess like a lean misfire or something. And I don't know, and then kind of easing into the throttle, like say taking off in first gear, just very rough and stuff. But it did clean up once you kind of got into the RPM range. Now smooth from idle all the way out. So I did take this car out on a quick drive today, probably just drove like a mile or so. I'll obviously put more miles on it before the car is done, but holy cow guys, this little thing is super fun to drive. It's pretty quick. It's quicker than I would have thought it would have been. And I was texting with the owner, and I told him that I suspect that this motor is not like an internally stock 1600 dual port, for example. I don't know what it is, but it feels to me at least like more than a stock 1600 with a header and a set of dual ICTs on it. I'm gonna guess maybe it's like a 1776 or something. Maybe it even has a counterweighted crank, because this little thing rips, guys. Super fun to drive, really fun to drive. I mean, the car is a little bit lighter than a traditional Beetle 2, because it does have quite a bit of fiberglass on it. But at the same time, it's pulling relatively huge back tires. So I don't know, guys. I really suspect that there's kind of more than meets the eye internally in this motor. Regardless, super fun to drive, runs incredibly smooth right now, idles beautifully, love it. And so, yeah, after I did that and kind of let him know, sent him a quick video, we had a quick phone call, talked about the interior, and I think we have most of a game plan. I got a couple details to work out. The car, if you remember, is a 60, which means it should have a mohair headliner. I'm actually, since it's a Baja Bug and they're wanting to like take it to the beach and, go places that might be, I don't know, dirty for lack of a better word, and, sand and stuff like that, I actually suggested that we put in a perforated vinyl headliner like on a later car. I think it's going to be a better fit to a car like a Baja Bug. The mohair headliners are obviously very beautiful, but if you touch one of those, especially one of the lighter colors, if you touch one of those with dirty hands, good luck getting it clean and not having a spot on it forever. So because again, this is a Baja and they want to have fun with it and not, be worried about getting it dirty or whatever, I suggested that we put in a perforated vinyl headliner, so he agreed with that. And then the carpet, we're going to put in charcoal colored German square weave carpet, but we're going to put it only on the heater channels and then the front areas up here. and then the back luggage compartment area. So a 60 should actually have carpet over the tunnel as well, but we're going to use I think it's a 56 to 59 rubber tunnel over, or rubber mat over the tunnel. And then of course we'll also use rubber floor mat. So I think as far as, again, going back to the fact that the car is a Baja Bug, I want to have a lot of, rubber floor mats in here and kind of minimal carpet, again, so they don't have to worry about, oh, my feet are dirty or whatever. So the car did have carpet all on the floors, and of course it was all tore up and ratty and stuff, but I think that they're going to be much happier having rubber floor mats in there, where, if you hop in with dirty feet or sandy feet, at the beach or whatever, like, nobody cares. You just vacuum it out or don't vacuum it out or whatever. So that's the plan for the carpet and rubber floor mats and headliner. The seats, we are for sure going to put a back seat in it, because he does want to be able to, put his kids in there and haul them around. The only two outstanding things are, one is, are we going to keep these seats, or are we going to put in a pair of correct seats, like low backs, that would be right at home in a 60? So that's one question. And the other question is then what color vinyl we're going to go with. And I'm thinking we're probably going to go with like a gray, like maybe a medium gray. Well, I don't know. We'll see. So obviously it'll be up to the owner, but I'm trying to hunt down a set of front seats and back seats for it, then and get the pricing on those, and then we'll kind of decide to use these or not. Back seat for sure we're going to use, and then it's just a matter of what color vinyl essentially we put in here. So but anyway, yeah, so after I got it running well, I went and set Jacob to go ahead and tearing out the interior that was in here. So he removed the door panels. He removed all of the fixed windows, because they all had very crustified seals on them. So again, pulled out the vent wings and the door windows, all going to be rebuilt with new seals once the door panels, or obviously before the door panels go on. And headliner came out, and super crusty, guys. Look at this. It's so rusty. So that'll have to be all cleaned up before headliner goes in. So I don't envy Santiago for having to clean up this rusty roof here to make it ready for a headliner. The other thing we got to figure out what to do with is these off-road lights. They do stick down a bit on these cars. The headliner tucks into this top of this beam right here, and this is sticking down a bit. So we can remove those and we can weld them closed, but then there's a question of what to do with these areas where we would weld and primer circles essentially on these two spots, because we're not going to paint the car. And so I don't know, we're going to kind of put our heads together tomorrow and come up with maybe a game plan. We could shorten this post and stuff here and just have it kind of up underneath the headliner, but right now it's sticking down too far. So we got to kind of figure out what to do about these. It's my impression from the owner was he doesn't really care whether they stay on there or not. They're not hooked up regardless. But again, my concern, at least from the outside of the car, is what do we do with the paint after we weld these two holes closed? We could just have a spot of primer or something on both sides, or could try and match this paint off like a taillight housing, but it's so faded and old. I don't know, guys. So we'll put some thought to it tomorrow. But yeah, so headliner will be probably going in tomorrow or so. Got to figure the seats out and so on. But yeah, that was Jacob's day. After I got it running good, he started tearing all this stuff apart. The only other thing I did today was spent a little bit of time on this guy, aka Big Blue, and connected the e-brake cables here to the handle. Still got to assemble the rest of the handle on this side. And then also I installed the front shift rod, so that's the one that goes from here to about there-ish underneath the car. And then there's a long one that goes from there all the way back to the shift coupling. So yeah, went ahead and installed that with a new coupler and new bushing on this side, Darwin bushing. So that's in. That I think is about all I managed to do on this one today. So that's it for today, guys. Super hot in the shop. I saw that it was 97 in here earlier and very humid, and I'm very much looking forward to going home and enjoying the air conditioning right now. So thank you all very much for watching, and we'll see you again soon. Bye.